From now until the end of July, all WagerTalk and Sports Memo customers can load as many as 3 and 7-day all-access passes as they want into their shopping cart and take 60% off using coupon code CART60. This coupon code can be used only once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, but there is no limit to the amount of 3 and 7-day all-access passes you can load into your cart when redeeming. Every handicapper is eligible, so take advantage of the biggest discount we have ever offered. And don't forget, coupon code CART60 can only be used once per site and expires when the clock strikes midnight on July 31st.
Wednesday, July 21st. That's my Prez impersonation, Rob Veno. We got it out of the way at the top. So you wouldn't have to worry about it or be scared about it for the next 49 and a half minutes. I am Steve Merril, filling in for the Prez today on Wednesday, July 21st, and that is Rob Veno filling in for Teddy Covers today on Wednesday. Second time in WagerTalk Today history. First time was last week. I watched the replay. Second time in history that both Teddy and Prez are gone on assignment as we speak. The Prez is doing a one-day aquatics Olympics as we speak. 5 or 6 different water events today. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure we will find out about it tomorrow on Thursday when he returns. But I digress. Hey, Rob, I got to throw it to you for what we learned. Dave, great show, first of all. Olympics are right around the corner. They technically start in the next day or so. Friday's the official start date, though. The sports have begun as we speak, though. We're going to bring in Andrew McInnis here in a few minutes, our Olympic expert at WagerTalk.com. Also, Arthur DiCesare from the LINQ on the Las Vegas Strip Sportsbook supervisor. Going to pick his brain about the Olympics, baseball, recap the NBA Finals as well. Little big game breakdown in between by Rob Veno himself. But before we get to all that, Rob, let me throw it to you. What did you learn last night? There was baseball, but there was also a basketball game, I believe.
Yeah, I think, what we learned officially, Steve, and what we may have been learning all along is that Milwaukee's a resilient basketball team, very resilient basketball team, down in games in more than one series here, and they're en route to their championship. And last night, no different, down 2-0, come back with 4 consecutive wins. And I guess the official proclamation that Giannis is a superstar. You don't have to shoot threes to be a superstar. He proved that. Last night, 17 of 19 from the free throw line. You have to hand it to him because that is the Achilles heel, so to speak, for Giannis. But, hey, 3 of the last 4 games, I think, in this series, Steve, he made double-digit free throws. So he had been good for them in 3 of those 4 wins, constantly getting there, unafraid to shoot. Credit to the Milwaukee Bucks here. Phoenix may have been 1 year ahead of schedule. We'll see what Chris Paul does as far as next year is concerned, but certainly Monty Williams, we found out they've got a real good core group there, and they could be a force in the West next year. If I switch it to baseball real quick, I think we saw last night the LA Dodgers right now are in urgent need of starting pitching. They brought one of their prizes from the minor leagues, Josiah Gray, up. He didn't start the game. There was an opener, but when he came in, he got hit pretty good. I think 3 home runs off of Gray last night, and the Dodgers are in a bind where starting pitching is concerned now, no doubt about it. So as we get closer to the MLB trade deadline, you'd expect San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego all to be in a race for players that are going to be available out there. We'll see what the Dodgers do. Certainly all the resources to get things done, but they do need starting pitching at this point in time. Something else we learned last night, for those who bet splits, in Major League starting baseball pitcher splits, you still can't trust Aaron Nola on the road. And last night he goes off I think he opened $1.20. Money pushed him upward. He comes out and gets beat by the Yankees. There's a lot of, there seemed to be a little swirl around the Philadelphia Phillies right now. Maybe they can catch the Mets, and Aaron Nola steps in as a road favorite, and the Yankees take care of them 6-4. So Aaron Nola, it's funny too, Steve, because Citizens Bank is not a pitcher's ballpark, but boy, that's where he excels. You put him on the road, and those split numbers become extremely different. And real quick here, I don't know that it's something that we didn't learn a couple of days ago, but I remember you and I having a conversation on a show with Joe Ranieri about the Angels potentially having a shot here to climb some teams in the second half. They should sell. Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon aren't coming back till the very end of July or the beginning of August, and this team isn't going to get there as has constructed over the next, let's say 10 days or so. So to me, the Angels, after what I saw yesterday against the Oakland A's, they need to sell. Those are just a few of the things that we learned yesterday, NBA and Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to see more of myself and Rob Veno doing an hour plus, actually 2 hours this Saturday, along with Joe Ranieri, noon Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 204 Sports Grid Radio. Rob, myself, and Joe Ranieri every Saturday, noon Eastern, talking baseball, basketball, Olympics this weekend, every sport on the grid. And, Rob, just getting back to Giannis, first of all, 26 and a half years old. And, one of the signs for me of a superstar is a guy that improves his game as he goes, opposite of your boy Ben Simmons in Philly there. And, Jordan became a better shooter. LeBron probably did as well. Jordan actually got much better shooting during his career. The free throw shooting for Giannis has actually been a big thing. He's learned not to take the threes, although he's actually 1 for 3 from the arc, beyond the arc last night, which is surprising. That's the most threes he had taken in any game except for game 2 in the finals. But yeah, the free throw shooting made the difference. And, even with all that said, even with the 50 points, Phoenix is only a basket away from covering still as a 4.5 to 5 point dog. And Giannis goes, as you said, 17 for 19, 90%. If he shoots his normal clip, Phoenix covers. So it's amazing, once again, how the Suns, 3 straight games, really were in an easy situation to cover and couldn't get it done. By the way, home road splits really stuck out to me. Obviously, the Bucks 10-1, the best playoff record at home of any team in the postseason this year. Giannis, huge difference shooting free throws. And something we need to keep an eye on, I think, going forward as handicappers. 22 for 41 in the 3 road games at Phoenix. And if you look at the 3 home games, he was 34 for 42, I believe. So huge difference on that split, home and away for the free throw shooting. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, those fans really get on him on the road. So that's something we'll keep an eye on also, and how that affects Milwaukee's home road dichotomy going forward. We're going to get to a little more baseball here in the future. You're going to look at that Giant Dodger game, so I'll leave more of that to you for the big game breakdown. And, of course, Art DiCesare coming up from the LINQ. We're going to talk more baseball as well. But I want to bring in Andrew McInnis because the Olympics are around the corner as we speak. I've got my flags behind me, Andrew. You're wearing a patriotic shirt, it looks like, as well. I love it. Andrew, welcome to the show. How have things been going at WagerTalk.com for you?
Thanks a lot for having me, Steve and Rob. Things are going great. Obviously, it's a quiet time right now for a lot of us, or quieter than it was. But I'm super excited to be studying up on football. CFL is coming very soon. Canadian football starts August 5th. And, Olympic coverage is coming up in this weekend. So as many people are saying, sports are quieting down. I'm finding a way to keep busy, just like all of us.
Yeah, and Andrew, I forgot about the CFL. I'm glad you mentioned that. Andrew does cover the CFL. In fact, we had a private message going a few weeks ago. He's like, can clients find over-under season wins at any sports books? I've got them. I've got future wins. I've got point spreads. So I know you're digging into the CFL. And for those of you that laugh about the CFL, it's been around longer than the NFL. In fact, I believe it's our friend Gabe Morency and I, Andrew, were talking about this a few weeks ago before you came on. Andrew's on every weekday morning, 1 a.m. Eastern, Wednesday mornings, Tuesday nights on Sports Grid XM 204. But I think the Hamilton Tiger Cats, that originally they were the Hamilton Cats, longest continuous franchise in all of pro sports. It's like over 150 years. And the Toronto Argonauts, obviously, not far behind. So the CFL is legit, and there's some great wagering opportunities. Andrew, though, we got to talk about the Olympics. It's right around the corner. As I said, technically it started, I guess, in some sports. Let me know how you bet the Olympics. I mean, are the Olympics beatable? We had Dave Sherpin on yesterday, and he mentioned that the odds makers of sports books are skittish about the Olympics. Whenever I hear that, that gets my attention because that tells me there's wagering opportunities. These lines are soft, to say the least. What will be your focus from a betting standpoint with the Olympics?
Well, the lines are certainly soft because yesterday we saw, I think, a minus like 7.5 or 9.5 softball game, and the final score was 2-0, guys. So to say they're soft is definitely a true statement there, Steve. Look, guys, I'd love to be able to come on here and tell you all these picks I have for you and across so many different sports, but not a lot of people know about me is I'm a volleyball coach. I also do play-by-play commentary, and I'm an analyst for local college volleyball around here. So I'll be looking into the volleyball at the Olympics quite a bit. And, I think, guys, some sports of the Olympics, you see it, it's not as competitive as, let's say, just the pro leagues. But for volleyball, I think it's very important. They have their FIVB Nation Cups and they have their league play. But the Olympics is very important to this sport. And I think it's a lot of money to be made, especially across the board with all the different types of betting we can do as the betting world has advanced. I mean, Before it used to be just, pick one team to win, guys, but it's a lot more than that now.
All right, Andrew. Well, first of all, good afternoon. Great to be on with you. You led us into this, so let's get into it. And we know that people will bet as long as they understand what they're betting on and they understand how to bet a certain sport. So go ahead and give us some ways that you can approach volleyball, since you certainly are going to be focusing on that throughout the Olympics, and it's stuff that folks watching the show here and other clients of Sports Memo and Wager Talk can follow. Go ahead and give us a rundown of how you can bet, the potential ways to bet on volleyball matches in the Olympics.
Well, I appreciate that, Rob. It's good to be on with you as well. And to start off, just very simple money line, just like every other sport that you guys know out there. You can bet on the money lines. But volleyball is actually a spread sport. It's going to be a spread for the entire points for the entire match. So all the set scores combined, they will develop a spread for the entire game. There's also set spreads. So, -1.5 or -2.5, very simple, as you guys see in series wagering in the playoffs for, NHL, NBA, stuff like that. And then there's totals. And this is where it gets very interesting, guys, looking at the totals for, the first set, the second set, or the entire match as a whole. And I think the total market is a very interesting market to dive into for volleyball because, guys, we're going to see a lot of favorites. We're going to see some big spreads. And it's up to us to decide, maybe this team's going to win the volleyball game, but are they going to cover the 18.5? Or are they going to cover that big number? Or maybe we'll go with an under or over. And those are the types of markets you can look at. And then there's the exact scoring type props. And I know Carmine Bianco does a great job coming on here on WagerTalk Today and discussing the soccer exact score. Well, with volleyball, you can predict the exact score of the sets. So one team to win 3-0, one team to win 3-1, or one team to win in 5 sets 3-2, with a lot more money to be made there, and trying to avoid laying these big prices, Rob, and trying to find some unique ways to capitalize there.
And Rob Veno loves his international soccer, as we all know. So he is chomping at the bit for an over-under pick for volleyball. But I'm going to make him wait. We're going to make all the viewers wait. More probably, we're going to make Rob wait because I want to get a futures pick from you first. But before I do that, I want to let everybody know you do have a 5% Olympic gold medal future. Speaking of futures, and Andrew's on a 19-5, mere 79%. I think 19-5 sounds better than 79% run on 5% plays. So just incredible. Andrew takes the 5% plays very serious on a 19-5 run. He's got a 5% Olympic gold medal future play. And just think how much fun that is. That gives you action basically, right, Andrew, for the entire Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you're gonna that 5% play is going to get you a lot of bang for your buck, just from entertainment and also profitability.
Well, absolutely, Steve. I haven't really, given out 5% future, I don't think, ever. And people might say, well, why not just give out a 5% play on that team to win a certain match or a certain game, or that player to win their event? That's not the way I want to go. And just like you described, you're going to be able to look at somebody, for the full length of a tournament or for an event. But as far as the future goes for this event that I want to give out here on the show, and I'm sure a lot of our viewing audience will be happy to hear this, I'm going to take a look at Team USA plus 240 to win the women's volleyball tournament there and win the gold medal for them. I think that price is far too good to be true. We look at Rio de Janeiro; they were silver. They've won either silver or bronze the last 2 Olympics. And the thing with volleyball, especially, and just the Olympics in general, you want to have returning players. You want to have experience. You don't want to be kind of in the moment, scared of the moment, and have any of the types of nerves. And they have 2 players that will make their 3rd Olympic appearance now. One of them is an outside attacker. One of them is a middle blocker. The only question marks I really had was towards USA's setter, just because she's new to the team and a newcomer. But the skill set that I've seen that she has, there are no question marks for me, guys. It sounds like USA is a very, very well-rounded team. They're the 2nd favorite going into this tournament, with China being the leaders, and they just have an outstanding volleyball club. But I do believe USA has what it takes to take that next step in this 2020 Olympics and go for gold. And that great plus 240 price, I can't argue with it. And when you look at China as well, plus 200, I'll be honest, guys, I hate to be talking about these favorites. You could probably take both those teams and leave the Olympics making some money.
I like it.
And I promise, guys, this will be the very first time I ever stretch out a volleyball betting segment, but I just want to get Andrew to clarify a couple of things real quick here before we get into, we'd love to have you give us maybe what we would call a starter pick just to get your feet wet, and individual game or total that you're looking at. But real quick, scoring in volleyball. I've seen it before, but I'm not quite certain. I know it's scored by sets the way tennis would be as far as winner is concerned. But individual games, do they go to 15 points, winner has to be by 2, or do they go to 25 points, winner has to be by 2? If we're going to bet sides and totals here, just help us understand what the final scores might look like in a volleyball match.
So each set goes to 25, and the indoor volleyball is best 3 out of 5. Outdoor beach volleyball is 2 out of 3. And, we're going to look at, if you see a big favorite, Rob, we'll see kind of like a 25-13, 25-15 type of score. Close to a pick'em, obviously, we'll see more of 25-21, 25-22, those types of scores. So kill percentage, a kill in volleyball means you ended the rally. And I think that for people out there looking to take a shot or maybe even get into volleyball during the Olympics, you want to look at teams' kill percentage. It pretty much means having the ability to finish the rally out and not have it be extended, because down the road, you're going to want a team that's not fatigued. Like, guys, when I'm interviewing these volleyball players, sometimes they have ice packs on their shoulders, both of their knees. Like, they are sore from swinging their arms and lunging, hundreds of times in a span of 2 hours. So you want to look at teams for unders that haven't been playing that many rallies, but teams that have been involved in these really long rallies. It's very similar to tennis, Rob, where like some of these matches that go on forever, there might be kind of fatigue going to their next match.
All right. So with that being said, go ahead. Let us have a play here that you're looking at, either side or total, maybe to help us watch one and maybe make a couple of bucks with it.
Poland is an outstanding team, and they have what they're calling the Ronaldo of volleyball. Anybody that watches soccer knows how great Ronaldo is. He is the outside attacker for Poland. He has been outstanding for them. They have a fully healthy team, which they've had some problems with in the past. They are the favorites to win it in the men's division. And I'm looking at them versus Iran, and I'm looking at the under 141.5. Iran is a very good team. I think they're scrappy. They have a great defensive team. But like I just mentioned in the previous statement there, you want to have a team and bet on teams that have the ability to end rallies. And Poland has that ability with their dangerous attackers. However, guys, I don't want to bet Poland on the money line. The price is not good enough. So give me the under for this one to end very quickly. It's actually a better price on the under than it is on the match to end 3-0. So I'll take the under 141.5, Poland versus Iran, and that match is on Saturday, guys.
I love it, Andrew. And when I woke up this morning, I did not think I'd be talking about Iran and sports betting in the same sentence at any point today. So I love it, and that's what's cool about the Olympics, right? We're going to see countries and sports that we normally don't cover. But I'll tell you what, if anybody was on the fence about betting the Olympics, or more importantly, betting Olympic volleyball, I think they found their expert, Andrew McInnis, WagerTalk.com. The guy is a color analyst, Rob, for volleyball. That's what we call an insider. I mean, he knows his stuff. That sold me. Interviewing guys with girls and guys with ice packs after playing volleyball. Andrew once again has a big 5% Olympic gold medal future play. That's going to keep you in action for that entire event. It's not just a one-off. You're going to enjoy the entire event. You'll have something to root for. And more importantly, you're going to make some money because Andrew's on a 19-5, 5% run on 5% plays at WagerTalk.com. And on the way out, Andrew, once again, tell us about the CFL. You've got your early bird special up. If I recall, you were number one last year at WagerTalk, and you got off to an 8-0 start. 8-0 perfect start last year. So if anybody wants to wait to see how you do this year in the CFL, that could be a very costly mistake because you're going to miss the early bird price, and you missed an 8-0 start last year at the CFL.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Yeah, CFL, very beatable market, but I think, we always stress this on the shows, and we always try and tell people, but CFL, more than I think any other sport, maybe college football, can kind of go head to head with it. The lines move like crazy, guys. You don't want to be buying a pick on CFL Saturday afternoon before the game starts or Friday evening. You want to have that pick in your mailbox by Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning when you wake up at the max, because these lines will move sides and totals, and really, really looking forward to the CFL. And Steve, I want to make sure I don't forget to mention this. Directly after this show on my Twitter account, I'm releasing 5 coupon codes. All of those codes are one time only, and they give you 50% off a 90-day 1 year or 1 month pass. And those are only one-time use, only 5 different coupon codes.
And once again, that's right after the show. So check out Andrew's Twitter handle. And what is it? McGinnis Sports, I believe? McGinnis Picks.
McGinnis Picks. Yes.
There we go. At McGinnis Picks. MCINNIS Picks. McGinnis Picks on Twitter for those coupon codes. And it's funny, you can't see Rob and me when we're off screen here, but both of us shook our heads up and down yes when you're saying the CFL is a sport in which you want to get those odds early. And that's what's great. When you have a season subscription, when you get that early bird special at WagerTalk.com, the minute Andrew makes the pick, he sends it to his clients and you get it instantly. You don't have to log in and find it. You don't have to keep checking the website. It comes right to your email box. You get that actionable info before the line moves, and the lines will move because the CFL is a beatable sport, but it's also a sharp sport. And that's one of the reasons Andrew McInnis is playing it. That's one of the reasons he started 8-0 last year. It was number 1 at WagerTalk.com. Hey, that was a great segment, Andrew. Really enjoyed it. Went really smoothly. So I'm going to end this as the Prez would to get us back on track here. Get out of here, right? We'll be right back.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Veno and the big game breakdown. Thanks, Andrew.
After a year-long hiatus, football is back north of the border as the Canadian Football League returns to action. The CFL regular season kicks off on Thursday, August 5th, and our very own resident CFL expert, Andrew McInnis, invites you to join him for the entire season of the CFL wagering. In 2019, McInnis was the #1 profit leader at WagerTalk. He plans to build on that success in 2021 in a huge way. Andrew started his 2019 season on an 8-0 run. What will he do this year? Join him for an entire season of CFL action, including regular season, playoffs, and of course, the Grey Cup. Get in on this early bird pricing now before it goes back up and lock in this CFL season.
And it's time for the big game breakdown. I will do my best here to make Teddy Covers proud. Usually his segment, I'll fill in for him here, and we'll look to Major League Baseball because basically that's the only place where I can look to tonight. Not well versed in Olympic volleyball or softball. So we'll go to Major League Baseball here and look at the San Francisco Giants, LA Dodgers, probably one of the biggest series going right now anyway. And we'll use that for big game breakdown. Last night, the Dodgers rally from a 6-1 deficit. We've heard that before a few times in the last couple of days. These large deficit rallies have been occurring rather frequently. Dodgers use a pair of 3-run homers, one by Chris Taylor, one by Will Smith in the bottom of the ninth to get the job done close to within one game of the San Francisco Giants in that NL West. Giants, an interesting case study here. Steve, you and I have talked about this a little bit on other shows, but the Giants and the fact that over 52% of their runs come off of the home run this year, when you take a look at the gap between their batting average, which is not good, 244, and their OPS, 763, that 519-point difference ranks second in Major League Baseball, only 1 point behind the team they're playing tonight, the LA Dodgers. So the Giants are kind of a boom or bust type of team. But for the big game breakdown selection here, we're going to look to the lineups. The lineups here tonight could get a little crazy, full of absentees for the LA Dodgers, and it's going to be advantage San Francisco where lineup is concerned. Last night we saw Max Muncy get hit by a pitch and leave the game, possibly out because of the injury for tonight, possibly out because his wife is about to go into labor, if she hasn't already. I'm not in the hospital, so I'm not sure, but Max Muncy could be absent due to the birth of a child here tonight. And Justin Turner, Dave Roberts has already said, will be left out of the lineup here tonight. So you're going to be without Turner. You're going to be without Muncy. You've already lost Gavin Lux a couple of days ago. And Mookie Betts has done nothing but pinch hit a couple of times over the course of the last 4 days. So the Dodgers lineup severely weakened here. And tonight they go up against Logan Webb, a kid who, if you haven't watched him yet, has terrific stuff and has thrown against LA once already this season. Back on May the 29th, 5 innings pitched, only 1 hit and 1 earned run allowed, 7 Ks in that game. Logan Webb has had a couple of starts here in July after being sent back down to AAA. 60 pitches in his last outing. They're trying to stretch him out a little more here. He could be very effective against this patchwork Dodger lineup here. And if we just look to the other side real quick, Julio Urias for the LA Dodgers. The last 2 times he threw against the Giants were back in May, And in those games, 8 earned runs allowed in 11 innings pitched. The Giants have had his number recently. I think the plus price is really worth looking at here. Lineup advantage Giants, potential starting pitching matchup against the opposing lineup advantage to the Giants. The only thing that would concern me a little bit is the Giant bullpen, which has been a little harder work than the Dodgers has. But I think the plus price is well worth it here. So big game breakdown. We're going to go with San Francisco plus the price here over the LA Dodgers tonight.
Yeah, and Rob, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We keep saying, everyone keeps talking about the Giants are going to fade, the Giants are going to fade, but it hasn't happened yet. And on the season, the Dodgers are still plus 30 runs better net run differential, but they're one game behind them now. But what jumps out to me still is the one-loss record, 20-20 against winning teams. Giants 22-17, Padres 28-21. I still say the Dodgers are not going to win the World Series this year. And we'll see how it plays out because, like you said, that starting pitching is getting thinner and thinner, and some other injuries and distractions as well. Hey, we're going to talk more baseball here with our next guest, but we're going to bring him in first. I'm going to ask him about the Olympic handle, how that's going to fare out, and also recap NBA Finals Game 6. And that's our friend, Arthur DiCesare, LINQ Sportsbook Supervisor at the Strip in Las Vegas. And, of course, you can find Arthur. He's a great Twitter follower, by the way, at the LINQ, LINQ, at the LINQ, LINQ on Twitter. Arthur, great to bring you in. I get to talk to you occasionally in the guest host role as Teddy, but today I'm the guest host role for the Prez, and Rob Veno is the Teddy. So, Arthur, great to have you on the show. How have you been doing? And let me ask you straight out of the gate, how were the NBA Finals for you all? Was it a decent result last night, Milwaukee winning?
Good morning, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here with you as always. Steve, it's always good to talk to you. Rob, I've never had the pleasure, but I'm a great admirer of what you do. I've watched a lot of your segments, so it's a pleasure to be on with you as well. Yeah, Steve, as far as the NBA Finals go, I know we talked about this last week. Any result was going to be good for us. Once we got the Lakers and the Nets out of there, whether it was the Suns or the Bucks winning, as far as the future goes, we weren't worried about who won on either side. Last night was actually a good result for us. We had it at -5. It closed at -4.5 for the Bucks. We took some pretty good money on the Suns, some pretty sharp money and public money on the Suns. So Bucks winning and barely covering that game was a good result for us. I think we're a little sad to not see a Game 7, stretch it out, an extra day and get that extra day of handle. But, as far as last night goes, good result for the house, good result. So we can't complain.
Yeah, Art, let me hop in here just with a quick question because I've been asked this maybe 3 or 4 times in different radio segments across the country, and I really don't know the answer because these numbers are somewhat fresh, but college football season over-under win totals. A lot of action early, limited action early, public action, sharp action. How's that going right now?
Rob, that's a great question. We just released our lines this past week. So like you said, very fresh. I think the appetite for it is out there. I've noticed over the last month or two, we've had a lot of people come in and say, the NFL over-unders have been out for a while. So people, hey, do you have college lines? Do you have college lines for the totals yet? So I think there's interest on both sides. I know the sharps will jump on it early. They'll find numbers they like, prices they like, and they'll get on that. Obviously, the casual bettor who's in town or who's a Texas A&M fan, a USC fan, a Florida State fan, an Alabama fan, they'll just buy their team because they want to buy their team. But I know the sharps will look to pounce on it early. There's nothing of note yet that I could say, someone's jumped on it or moved it yet. We'll probably start to see that over the next couple of weeks, obviously with college football starting at the end of August.
Yeah, it's a great topic. I remember back in the 90s, so few books would put up the season win totals. I used to fly out to Las Vegas in the 90s just to play the over-under win totals back in the day. And one thing I like about the college shows, we had Ralph Michaels on yesterday right here on WagerTalk Today. He gave out a couple free college win totals. So viewers, if you missed that, go back and watch Tuesday, July 20th episode because we were talking college football yesterday with Ralph Michaels. And he actually used Oklahoma as one of the gate teams. I won't say which way he went. I want people to go back and watch it. But, a team like Oklahoma, there's only a handful of games you have to handicap, basically, because they play 12 games and 9 or 10 of them are basically going to be, 3-4 touchdown spread. So it really comes down to like handicapping just a couple games to figure out that over under 11 wins for Oklahoma, for example. Art, we're going to get to some baseball in a moment. First, before I forget, though, I got to ask you about the Olympics. We just had a great segment with Andrew McInnis. I don't dive too deep into the Olympics. I don't think Rob does either. We spend a lot of time with baseball this time of year. And I know you probably don't either, Art, and it's at ArtDice21, by the way, for his direct Twitter handle. That's another great follow, at ArtDice21. If Art likes any Olympic picks, he'll be giving them out on Twitter, I have a feeling. But I know you probably don't dive too deep into the individual sports. If you do, let me know. But just big picture takeaway. We asked Dave Sherapan yesterday, and he said, the odds makers, the sports books kind of sit down. They're like, how much can we win from this? Probably not a lot. How much could we lose if it goes wrong? Could get hurt. So what's the overall take at the LINQ about this? You got to put it up. Tourists are there. They want this stuff. But what's your risk management with this? How do you guys go about setting the lines for these events?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm not a huge Olympic person. I'm not going to sit here and say I got a million Olympic bets. I probably won't have one Olympic bet. But yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. We have to have it because you just have to have it. So it's one of those things where we'll limit what our liability is on certain sports or certain events because that's just what we have to do. It's like, to me, it's like an NFL draft. Everything is, it's going to be, the casual bettor is going to come in and want to bet, U.S. women's soccer, U.S. Men's basketball, this, that, and the other, kind of the glamour sports or the glamour events. But yeah, we can't be sitting there, having these big liabilities on sports that we're just not that sure about. So yeah, I think when it comes to the Olympics, it's something that we know we have to have, and we're going to take it day by day and event by event and just kind of see where our handle is, where our liability is. And, that's just the way we look at the Olympics. This will be my second Olympics at the LINQ, so this will be my second go-around with it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. I know people are going to we'll have a lot of people in town because, we've opened up and this, that, and the other. So it'll be interesting to see day to day what happens with these Olympic handles. But obviously some of the bigger sports or the bigger events will get more of a handle than, some of the smaller events. And, we'll pull our liability up a little bit more on the bigger events. So that's kind of the way we look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back to future board action here because, of course, over the 3-day span of the All-Star break, you have a home run derby that's bettable. You have an All-Star game that's bettable. But let's face it, most of us are looking forward at that point in time. And a lot of the discussion over those 3 days that I was part of was the MLB Futures Board. And right now, to me, it's a tough thing to gauge because we have the trade deadline coming up. But I'm sure you guys have, taken some opinion on some of these races. One between the Mets and the Phillies, where a lot of people look to see the Mets faltering down the stretch, and they're looking for a way to go against the Mets, to fade the Mets. And then that NL West race, Los Angeles, such a local team, a local favorite where sportsbooks are concerned in Las Vegas. You have San Francisco and San Diego, not that far away either. Any serious action one way or the other on either that NL East race or that NL West race?
Yeah, Rob, you're kind of speaking my language here. I love the MLB futures market, and I love the divisions. I think the divisions are really interesting. Obviously, you have, almost half the season, a little bit less than half the season to go. You obviously still have a trade deadline to go. If you look at the NL East, a week ago, you probably could have gotten the Phillies at plus 700. Obviously this is before the Acuna injury. The Mets were still a pretty big favorite. So you look at the Mets saying they were minus 250. I believe we have the Mets minus 180 now. You've now moved the Phillies into second position there at plus 300. There's probably still some value on the Phillies there. I mean, the Phillies have played a lot better. Obviously the Mets, they're kind of hit or miss. Listen, they'll probably be players at the trade deadline. So if you're just looking for a nice price, maybe you take the Phillies at plus 300. You missed it at plus 700, but 300 is still nice. NL West, listen, we're still going to have Dodger money heavy. I think Dodgers are minus 240 now. It's still going to be a big favorite, even though the Dodgers are a game out. Obviously, a huge series right now against the Giants. And obviously, the Giants and the Padres falling right behind them. But we're always going to have Dodger liability, World Series, pennant, division. So we're always rooting against the Dodgers. I'll just say that.
And Art, I got to ask you about the sticky stuff. I mean, it's something we've been talking a lot about over the past month. And, I know the odds makers want to kind of be front runners, but also you kind of take a wait and see approach. At least I do as a handicapper before we overreact to something. But the scoring is definitely up. We see that every summer. It's always up in July and August due to the heat. Hitters more familiar with the pitchers, a lot of other reasons. But it's not necessarily that it's up. We've talked about this the last couple of nights. And once again, last night, I mean, we had numerous games where teams put up 7, 8, 9 runs. They're almost going over the totals by themselves. We led into the show yesterday, kind of recapping what we had learned, and I talked about Monday, just insane. Nationals 18, Red Sox 13, Detroit Tigers 14, Detroit red hot, by the way. I'm going to get to that in a moment in the penalty box. Just at the LINQ yourself and maybe other odds makers you're talking to around town, I mean, what's the thought right now with the scoring, and how are you guys handling these over-unders, and are you starting to bump them a little bit more than you would have quicker?
Yeah, Steve, I think you made a great point, though. Obviously, the dog days of summer, we always know it gets hot. Sometimes call-ups, trades, teams, are depleted, and, bullpens are getting tired. So, yeah, you're going to see totals rise. Obviously, the sticky stuff is an issue. We understand that. Yeah, listen, you're right. You see teams that are basically going over these totals by themselves in games. So I think, like anything, it's not just a wait-and-see approach. Obviously, we have to adjust on the fly, and we have to move numbers the way we do. But, I always say to people, to me, sharps are going to look to take unders when they can, and the public's always going to take over. So the public is going to take overs in every sport. They're just going to. They're not going to root for 2-1 games. They want 9-8 games. That's just how it is. When I see the casual bettor come to our windows, they're taking overs. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, it's going to be a wait and see approach with what happens over the next couple of weeks with this. But yeah, you definitely have seen a tick in some of these over unders, and just the scoring is up, but I think that's a combination of a lot of things.
Rob, before we let Art go, I could keep Art literally for an hour. At some point, we're going to do a one-off podcast with you, Arthur, because it's great information. Rob, Veno, any closing thoughts, any other questions that you won't get a chance to talk to him maybe next week?
Yeah, no, I think you've answered everything up till now, Art. I mean, I'm sure you've had your fill of NFL questions at this point in time. Training camp getting closer, preseason numbers. I saw well-respected Kenny White put out a number, side and total, on the early game. You guys you're up on the board with that already, or you're still waiting with that?
Rob, I'm really glad you brought that up. This is, I heard Andrew say in the previous segment, now with the NBA Finals being done, obviously it's later than it normally would be. This is kind of the lull for us. This is, obviously we have Olympics this year, but this is usually just, it's baseball. Everyone's waiting for football. There's an NFL preseason game 2 weeks from tomorrow. So, right. We're going to really jump right into football. It's going to be, we're going to hit the ground running. And yes, we do. We have that Hall of Fame game. We got Steelers -1 playing the Cowboys with a total of 34. So, we already have that Hall of Fame game up, like I said, 2 weeks from tomorrow. So, yeah, guys, I mean, it's basically football season. So I know we're all excited about that because, that's the bread and butter of this industry, and that's what we all look forward to.
Go get it.
Yeah, once again, NFL 2 weeks away tomorrow, Rob. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Just 2 weeks away from NFL action. Of course, don't forget, everybody, there's just 3 preseason games this year. There's an extra regular season game. And when you're doing the NFL season win totals, do not forget that there's an extra NFL game as well. 17 regular season games is here now, and just 3 preseason games. And that starts with the Hall of Fame games these guys are talking about next 2 weeks from Thursday on Steelers, Cowboys. And then we have 3 regular weeks after that. College football, I believe, is August 29th. Ralph Michaels told us yesterday we were, I think, 49 days. So now it's 48 days away. So about 5 weeks on college football as well. Art, let us know about the LINQ. We're going to get out there and visit you sooner than later, I hope. Both Rob and myself here from the East Coast. Can't wait to get out to Vegas again. Once again, at the LINQ, LINQ on Twitter. Then Art also is at ArtDice21. Arthur, what's going on at the LINQ in Las Vegas?
Yeah, gentlemen, I look forward to you guys coming out. I always look forward to anyone coming out and saying hi. It's always a pleasure to, have some hosts come by, have fans from the show come by. But yeah, guys, listen, the LINQ, I think, is one of the most unique experiences on the, Strip for viewing the games. We have our fan caves, everything you would want. It's like the comfort of your own home. You got your iPad, you're controlling your sound, you got all the games, you put them up as you want. So it's a really great atmosphere, a lot of fun in the heart of the Strip. And I'm always there to, like I said, talk to viewers. I've met many of you guys, and always there to say hi and, give some, words of advice, or, teach you how to bet, or this, that, and the other. So I'm always there to say hi, and just come down and check us out at the LINQ, guys.
I've had several people message me after the shows and go, man, Art is a nice guy. He really is at the LINQ. He really does say hi. So we appreciate it. And viewers, take advantage of that. Go visit the LINQ on the Vegas Strip. And I've heard good things about it, to say the least. At the LINQ, LINQ, and then also at ArtDice21 on Twitter. He'll be giving out all of his best bets in the Olympics each and every day on Twiter. Few and far between. Still more than Rob and I'll probably have. All right, thanks for being on, my man. Always great to see you. We will see you again next Wednesday, hopefully, right here on Wager Talk Today. And Rob, I don't know if I should do this or not. I'm getting a little nervous, but we got about 2 minutes to go. And I've been bad. I think I need to go to the penalty box. By the way, viewers in the chat, Dan Smith had a great one. He said, "I'm not used to the host not interrupting themselves 10 times, each other 10 times during the show." I definitely think we went over the under. I think we hit the under, Rob Veno. We had maybe a half an interruption, and that was about it. But yeah, with Joe Esposito in the chat, he's there every day. Always great to see you. Andrew McInnis is in the chat. I think I've heard of him. Caden, good to see you again. We gave you a shot yesterday. And all the usual suspects. Yoshi Karp, always love that name as well. I still think that's Tokyo Brandon in disguise. But anyway, it's been a great show, guys. Got a couple minutes left. You got to get a little more baseball in there. So, Joe Ranieri, I reluctantly ask you to throw me in the penalty box.
Take care.
Happy hands for the Prez. Hopefully he's not mad that I'm in the penalty box. But there's two teams. There's two penalty boxes. I'm in the visiting penalty box today on Wednesday, July 21st. And we'll just quickly look at some baseball. Rob, of course, did a big game breakdown on the Giants and on the Dodgers. That is the spotlight game tonight. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to look at some big picture takeaways here in the baseball season. Dodgers still just a 500 team, 40 games against winning teams this year. Both the Giants and the Padres are above 500 against winning teams. Giants still have the second best run differential in the National League, and they have the fourth best in all of baseball. So, as Rob said, be careful fading the Giants right now. I actually was taking a look at the Dodgers in this game. I scratched it from my card, and with Rob leading Giants, that's even more of a reason to stay off the Dodgers in this one until we see them turn the corner. Hey, a team I did a just a bit outside free play video for yesterday here on Wager Talk TV was the Detroit Tigers, and they remain red hot. Smoking the ball offensively, something I'd like to look for. They did cool off a little bit last night with just 4 runs on 9 hits, but they'd had 21 runs on 30 hits the 2 games before that. Let's not so fast, my friends moment, though. Let's keep in mind their last 9 games have all come against the Twins and the Texas Rangers in some form or another. 2 of the worst teams in baseball that are really slumping. But once again, until it's broke, it ain't broke, don't fix it. Detroit Tigers worth a look once again tonight at a mere $1.15. They were a dog 2 nights ago. They were $1.15 last night, and they're $1.15 again tonight. I mean, that's the only way to play that one, in my opinion, is the Detroit Tigers. Worst team in baseball this year against the money line, without a doubt, has been the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I always, look to buy low, sell high. As I mentioned, I'm not going to sell yet on the Giants because they continue to play good baseball. But waiting for Arizona to somewhat turn things around. I thought this current home series against the struggling Pittsburgh Pirates might be that spot. They did put up 11 runs yesterday, an 11-6, 17-run last night, performance, easily going over the total of 9. I look for another high-scoring game between Arizona. I think that offensive side, it's a hitter-friendly park. That is a matinee, 3:40 Eastern, with Rob Veno's Madison Bumgarner on the mound. So take a look at that over the total. Pirates D-backs. I'm out of the penalty box. Get me back on the ice. Not used to the 2 minutes, Rob. That's like a double NBA tip-off segment. And by the way,
that really is.
When Joe Ranieri stuck all of us on NBA tip-off on Tuesday for Game 6, I thought that was going to ensure a Game 7, but it didn't work out that way. So we're done with the NBA. I won't get to see you quite as often, Rob, here in the next few weeks, but I will see you on Saturday and Joe Ranieri, noon Eastern Saturday, every Saturday, noon Eastern on SiriusXM Channel 204, Props and Parlays, Rob Veno, Joe Ranieri, and myself, Steve Merril. And Rob, I'm going to give it to you to close out to thank the guest and also give us a quick promotion what you got going at WagerTalk.com. I've got a buy August, gets the rest of July for free. That's still available right now for Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Rob, thanks for being with me. I'll let you close it up.
Yeah, glad to be here today. Steve filling in for Teddy Covers, much needed vacation at this point in time. I think all of us look to this time of year to take whatever time we're going to take because there's no time to take off once the football kicks off. That's about it. You're busy from start to finish. And, of course, basketball will come back. I want to thank everybody for watching today, of course. Hopefully we did fill in admirably for the Prez and for Teddy. I'm glad to hear that the chat room, I don't know if you liked it or not, but at least you recognize that there's less bickering going on between Steve and I. We don't usually get at each other.
Now it's 1.5.
Yeah, we don't get at each other's throats.
The in-game line
way.
has gone down to 1. We just went over. I interrupted you.
Yeah, there you go. Over the total. Cash that ticket. As far as WagerTalk.com is concerned, I just closed out the NBA season as the number one handicapper in NBA at WagerTalk for 2 consecutive years. We're going to turn our attention now to baseball and football. MLB action will be up at 2 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. Night action only on my card. I didn't like anything specifically in the day, so I have night action ready to roll. Once again, WagerTalk.com. If you'd like to find me on Twitter, it's very easy. It's at Rob Veno Sports. I think that, Steve, as we head in, maybe you and I will get dropped into some college football, NFL segments together. You never know what the minds above have in store for us come fall and winter. But hopefully we do see more of each other on the shows. I enjoy doing them with you. And I think I just want to let the viewers know here real quick that on Thursday, we will be shooting a video for SEC action, a quick preview of the SEC, myself and Drew Martin together. It will be done on Thursday. So if you're looking for SEC preliminary thoughts, catch us there on WagerTalk TV. And also, those of you who are big fans of the NBA draft, I think there's an NBA draft show live coming the night of the draft, July 29th. So stay on the lookout for that. I'm sure there'll be some kind of promo on Twitter as to when and exactly what time that night. But we did it last year. It was a lot of fun, bringing in a lot of the NBA experts again to go over the draft, and that will officially conclude this NBA season. So, Steve, good to be with you. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Joe and the guys who run this show flawlessly each and every time.
Yeah, Rob, thanks for being on. And that NBA show will be next Thursday night, the 29th. NFL preseason starts the Thursday after that. So even though we got baseball and Olympics, we still got a little more NBA talk next week, and then NFL 2 weeks after that. At Rob Veno Sports on Twitter. I'm at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L on Twitter. And that'll do it for Wager Talk today. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank you to Andrew McInnis, and thank you to Arthur DiCesare of the LINQ Sportsbook. And thank you to Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com. We'll be back tomorrow Thursday, noon Eastern, right here on Wager Talk TV. Good luck.
From now until the end of July, all WagerTalk and Sports Memo customers can load as many as 3 and 7-day all-access passes as they want into their shopping cart and take 60% off using coupon code CART60. This coupon code can be used only once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, but there is no limit to the amount of 3 and 7-day all-access passes you can load into your cart when redeeming. Every handicapper is eligible, so take advantage of the biggest discount we have ever offered. And don't forget, coupon code CART60 can only be used once per site and expires when the clock strikes midnight on July 31st.